We're going to talk today about VO2 Max, why it's important for your general health, why it's important to optimize it as best you can, and when you should get it tested. So for those who don't know, VO2 Max is your maximum aerobic capacity, is your maximum oxygen intake. You're going to measure it during exercise. It can be measured in a couple different ways. There are little new cool gadgets that can do it through your phone. Best to do it through a lab that does it potentially with your resting metabolic rate at the same time to get us the most and accurate information. VO2 Max is going to be done over a gradual pace until you get a percentage of where you are. Why is checking your VO2 Max important? One, it's been linked to an increased lifespan and longevity, up to 20% increase. It's been shown to decrease risk of heart attack and stroke. It's been shown to improve your mood. It's been shown to potentially decrease inflammation in the body. And it's been shown to help lower your blood pressure. So all these different factors can be done by just working on your VO2 max. So when we look at a VO2 max, and we'll show the chart through this video, there's a point where the first, like 75-80%, when you're not optimal, you're gonna notice dramatic increases in terms of your data, your blood pressure, heart rate, energy, cognition. And then once you hit that last 15-20%, you are not going to notice as huge of an improvement. There's not as big of a change in that last 20% unless you are trying to be an elite athlete. Part of working on your VO2 max is for general health. Part of working on the VO2 max is to optimize athletic performance a little bit in terms of how you train and how you want to optimize your VO2 max. It's a difference if you're just trying to do it to help with your lifestyle versus if you're trying to increase your athletic performance, especially if you perform either sprinting or some type of quick twitch, basketball, something where you're quick input, not something endurance like long distance running, triathlons, things like that. So let's kind of break it down a little bit. Like I said, once you get your VO2 max, it should be tested about every 6 months or so in a perfect world. You should be looking for hopefully at least a 5% increase in your VO2 max, especially if you're on the lower side. And then we're looking for it to continually increase. Things that we're looking at besides your VO2 max is your resting metabolic rate as well, where your body's able to use fat and to use carbohydrates. Because if your body is not metabolically flexible and you can go from being a carb burner to a fat burner, then there's going to be issues as well in terms of how good your VO2 max is. We're looking at VO2 max in two separate ways. In terms of training, there are some things in every study that we look at very consistent, and there are other things that are very variable and depends on what your goals are, what you're able to do, and so on. We know that medium and high intensity workouts are the bread and butter of boosting your VO2 max. That is a given. We also know that doing longer duration exercises, doing things for over 15 minutes, will usually increase your VO2 max more than doing very short interval exercises. Doing exercise for 5 minutes and taking a rest is not going to be as optimal as doing something for 15 or 20 minutes. That's something that we definitely know. We know duration is very important. The question of intensity, we know that both medium intensity and high intensity interval training will help improve VO2 max. We know that high intensity interval training is usually better, but that is not definitive. There are studies that show that you can do medium intensity training and still get a decent improvement in your VO2 max. So that's something you just need to figure out by the measurement, working with your trainer or your coach to figure out what works best for you. We also know pretty definitively that the length of your training in terms of how long you're in a VO2 max boosting workout routine, meaning that we know that anything more than 12 weeks is a better way of boosting your VO2 max than trying to do something in 2 or 3 weeks. So to summarize, we know it's medium, high intensity intervals, usually doing things for 12, 24 weeks is usually going to be better than trying to do something in a week or two. We do know that it will hopefully improve speed. It should improve power to some degree. That varies on some people. We also know that the rest period may matter. We know that you can do what they call 4 and 4s, where you're working out for a period of 4 minutes and then have a rest period. That also has been shown to give improvement in VO2 max, but may not be as good as doing something for a longer duration. Those are the things that we do know. We know that doing cardio, long distance may help boost VO2 max. There are some studies that show doing longer runs and longer cardio events may help, but not to the same degree as doing any type of medium or high intensity workout. We do know that VO2 max as you get older, just working on that is important. The key is not just to get to, okay, you gotta get to 70% or 80%. It's a question of just working on it and doing it on a continual basis. Because again, of the works on the heart, the way that we know it lowers blood pressure, the way that it helps cognition, and the way that it helps improve lifespan. So those are the main details you need to know about VO2 max. VO2 max should be done in conjunction with, again, resting metabolic rate, in conjunction with getting a DEXA scan to look at your fat mass and your visceral fat, as well as your muscle mass. These are the data points that we know have linked to your general health, as well as your longevity. So you want to hear more about VO2 max testing, put your questions down below. We'll answer as much as we can. If you like the channel, please feel free to subscribe.